let's talk about things that impact your money. Or this can be things that are impacted by how you manage your money. So today I want to talk about things like emotions, habits. Of course, we know that money management can be someone who you may make a budget, but you don't actually plan your budget. So maybe you just write down a bunch of numbers, you come up with some um, categories, but there's really no intention with the budget. Um, or maybe you do certain things or you plan certain things, but it's not necessarily all the way thought out. Well, the things that we do and the mindset that we have and some of the habits or some of the emotions that we have can have a direct impact on how we manage our money. And today I want to discuss some of those things. And so the first thing I want to talk about is planning. So for me, I am a big planner. I can do better, but for me, I'm not just a planner. I love planners. I like buying planners. I like looking at how planners are set up. Sometimes I'll even go as far as maybe trying to create my own planner because I've gotten to the point where I've been planning for so long that I like my planners to be more tailor made to my life. And so I have even an interest in creating my own planners, and maybe doing like tailor-made planners, but I don't have time for that right now. So, but I'm very particular about the planners that I buy. But that's neither here nor there. Let me get back on topic. So, I'm a big planner and I like to plan my time and then I like to plan my money. And I've realized over the years that since I've started doing that, that this can have a very, very big impact on how I manage my income. And so I noticed, like, let me give you a scenario. If I wake up one day, and I know there are a lot of people who are like this, that's why I'm giving you this scenario. But if I wake up one day and I don't have the type of life where I have a lot of leisure days, usually there is something that I can be doing, whether there's something in my house or whether there's somewhere I need to go, something I need to take care of. Usually there is something. But if I wake up and I don't plan my day, usually I forget about something that needs to get done. But if I get bored enough, I'm either online looking at something to buy, or if I'm gonna decide I'm gonna go out. And when I go out, I'm usually going to spend money because I'm either going to do something or I'm at a mall somewhere. And so usually in that aspect, even though I did not plan to spend money that day, I'm most likely going to spend money that day. Whereas I realize when I actually plan out my day, it allows me to be more focused. I'm focused on, okay, what do I need to get done? If something does cost money, I know exactly how much it's going to cost or exactly how much I plan to pay for it. And so I realized over the years that one of the things that directly impacts my money or my money impacts itself, my money management impacts, is planning. And the reason why I say my money management impacts my planning is because I like to be in control of what I'm telling. I want to tell my money what to do. I don't want my money telling me what to do. And I realized over time that if I am not planning my time wisely or planning my money wisely, then my money and I will switch places. My money will begin to tell me, oh, well, since you don't have anything to do today, you can actually go ahead and you can go do this, or you can go do this activity, or you can go to this store and you can buy this, or you can go on this online, or whatever the case may be. You get what I'm saying? But I realized that over the years that planning has a big impact on my money. If I don't plan out my day, if I don't plan out my activities, if I don't plan out how much I plan on spending, or if I plan on spending anything at all, my money will be directly impacted because it will begin to tell me what I can or can't do. And usually your money is not a good master. If your money is telling you what you can do, it's telling you you can do everything, even if you don't have it. So if you don't have the cash, your money is telling you, oh, you have a credit card or you have you can go get a personal loan. if you're not a planner of your money and your time, you will be controlled by your time and your money. And your money is not a good master. It's not going to tell you you can't do something. It's only going to tell you what you can do and that you can go ahead and do it even if you don't have it. So planning is one of the biggest things that impacts your money. Shopping. If you do plan on shopping, what do you plan on? Let's say you do have your day planned out and you're going to go, do a little shopping, or you're going to go and do this activity. What do you plan to spend on said activity or said shopping? Planning those things out. Even when you do want to go do things, plan it out. Tell yourself, okay, this is what I'm going to do. This is how much I plan to spend. And you just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you can't plan anything. You just may plan a bigger amount than what you're used to, or what you're planning a bigger amount than what most people can do. But even if you make a lot of money, you still want to plan those things. Listen, money goes fast. It can leave your hands very fast. And even though you can make it back, the idea is to maximize your money as much as you can. So if you're doing something where you're having to spend the money, but the return on the investment is not making you more money, you may want to do better at planning those things out than just going and letting it tell you what you're going to do. Planning gives you control. When you don't have, like I said, if you don't have control over your money and you don't tell your money where to go, it'll tell you where you can go. And it'll tell you you can go anywhere. If you want to plan a last minute trip somewhere, you can go ahead and do that. Because like I said, if you don't have even if you don't have the money, then it's going to tell you, well, you can go and get a loan, or you can, whatever the case may be, you're going to find a way to get it done if you don't have control over it. The next thing the next thing I think that impacts your money or can be directly impacted by your money is your health. I did a video on this topic on another YouTube channel that I no longer have access to, but I thought this was really good because we live in a world today where, as the world is advancing, we're realizing more, like especially us millennials, we're realizing so much more, especially things that we saw our parents and our grandparents go through. And we're realizing that we have to be in shape. We have to, especially with how much that we want to do. We're starting businesses. We're raising children. We're wanting to get married, or we're already married. And when our health is not right, it usually will have a direct impact on how we can do those things. And so, especially in today's time, we're realizing that our health is so important. It's so important to watch what we eat. We grew up with the worst eating habits, some of us, a lot of us, soul food, fast food, things that has not been good for us, things that are directly impacting the inside of our brain, um, our sugar levels, things like that just are no good for us, that we grew up eating and indulging in, that nobody ever told us, hey, you shouldn't eat too much of that. You shouldn't have too much of this. And not just with our eating habits, but also with our mind. Mentally, a lot of us didn't grow up learning how to have a healthy mindset. And so we grew up with trauma, suicidal thoughts, depression, things of that sort. But over the years, I've realized how our health it has such an impact on our money. Have you thought about, like, have you looked around your family, or you've been around people and thought about the people who may go into the hospital and don't have health insurance, or they can't afford health insurance, or they have health insurance but it's super high, and it's higher if your health is not that good. Insurance is already high, but it's definitely high for people who don't have good health. Um, and then when you don't have good health and you have high insurance, you also have to go to the doctor more often than others. And so now you're not just paying for an insurance premium, you're paying for co-pays for doctor visits. You're paying a cost for medicine if your insurance doesn't cover the whole thing. If it gets really bad and you go to it, you have to call an ambulance if you're not, if you're falling all over the place or whatever the case may be. Us not being in good health can have such a huge impact on how we manage our money and how we grow our money. When we have all of these things going on, it's because we're not doing a good job with taking care of our health. And so we have to really think, as I get older, or as I go on, maybe you are a little bit further along in life, and you may feel like, well, I've been like this my whole life, but there is still a way where you can stop it from getting worse. But um, you may be a little bit older or further along in life, but we can still get to the point where we can work on our health, stop what we're eating, stop what we're thinking, stop reacting to things that make us sick. These things are directly impacting how we manage our money. When we have to keep going to doctor's visits, when we have to keep um, going to the dentist, if we're not taking care of our teeth. I was just talking to someone about that. Going to the dentist can be very expensive. And I don't know about anybody else, but I want to keep my teeth as long as I can. If I can die with them, I want to die with them, or what teeth I have left. Um, but how we take care of our teeth can impact our money, because if we're constantly after going to get teeth pulled, that costs money. Because even with good insurance, they don't like to cover everything. And then when you go to certain dental offices, they have sales that they're trying to make. So they're trying to get you to buy these expensive toothbrushes. They want you to, a lot of us, we want to do teeth whitening. That can cost money. If you want good teeth whitening, you can order strips and things like that. But it costs to keep up our health, whether it may be our eyes, our body, our teeth. All of these things cost money. And so we're gonna have to spend some type of money to keep our health up. But we want to make sure that the money we're spending now to keep our health up is not going to cost us more because we didn't keep our health up. So as our health starts to decline, it starts to cost much more to keep us alive. And I've seen that in my own life. But I also don't want my kids to be left with hospital bills and things like that because I couldn't afford to keep myself alive. I mean, I'm not saying that I can keep myself alive, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. What I'm saying is health can be very expensive, but it can be more expensive if we're not taking care of ourselves. And so to make sure that we're able to properly manage our money and not have to spend thousands of dollars on things that we can control, one of those things may just be our health. The next thing is our emotions. So this can be very general. Um, it can be a pretty general thing, but our emotions can have a big impact on our money. And there may be a couple things that I'll talk about in this video that may sound the same or sound like it's an emotion. But when we're not in control of our emotions, like feeling guilty or wanting to please people or not being patient, those things can directly impact our money management or can be impacted by our money management. I know for me, I'm working on my patience. I'm working on being more patient and learning how to wait. The one thing that I have worked on with that is delayed gratification. So I am really big on my debt free journey, learning to get out of debt, not using my credit card for unnecessary things. I notice that in the world we live in today, delayed gratification is not a very popular thing. A lot of times we want things that we want it now instead of waiting for it or questioning if we really need it now, even when we have the money for it. We don't always need to spend the money. We just want to spend the money. But having patience, having patience can definitely help us as far as our money management, learning how to wait for things, not being so quick to use a credit card or go and get a personal loan for things that we don't need it for and things that we can't pay for later. Feeling guilty. I know even as for like parents, a lot of times we have kids and we want to make our kids feel good or we want to promise them certain things and even things that we really can't promise them, or we let our kids make the choices on different things that we spend our money on. Maybe, and this can be anything small and it can be anything big, because maybe you don't make a whole lot of money but you're that parent where every Christmas you feel like you have to buy gifts. I will be the first to say that you don't have to buy gifts every single Christmas. Now, maybe I'm a little biased because I prefer now, as I'm getting older, I prefer to give my kids experiences. But I don't mind buying Christmas gifts, but I'm also not going to spend money I don't have to buy Christmas gifts. If I have the money, I buy the gifts. If I plan that out, I'll buy the gifts. If I don't or I can't plan it, we won't have Christmas gifts this year. And I can't feel guilty because I can't do it. I have to sit down with my kids and tell my kids, hey, this is what is going on. We don't want to go into debt to buy Christmas gifts if we don't have the money, or I can wait until I have the money to buy the Christmas gifts and we don't have any debt we're trying to pay off. Mommy's not stressed out. She can pay her mortgage, she can pay her bills and everything like that, because we can wait until another time to buy gifts that I don't have to buy you one time out the year. I can buy you these gifts anytime. And so I don't have to feel guilty about not being able to do something when I know that having good money management skills is only going to help later on. And it's only going to allow me to make my kids feel good later on. So maybe I don't buy gifts for Christmas or for your birthday today, but I can get the gift another day, or we can get a better gift another time. I just need to make sure that I'm doing what's best for us. People pleasing. We don't have same thing with even with our kids. We're a lot of people have this people pleasing habit where you always want someone to be happy with you. Maybe it's in a relationship. Maybe there's someone that's struggling and you always want to make sure that you're making them feel good, or you're always, or they're not searching for help all the time, and you want to make sure that they're getting the help that they need, but you're doing it in a way where it's draining you and you can barely help yourself. We have to let go of the people pleasing. Sometimes people pleasing can also cause us to enable people. You know, you're so giving and you're so wanting to be seen by someone or make them feel good that they're not able to change the bad habits that got them into whatever situation they may be in. And it's because they can look to you to help them or to give it to them. And so people pleasing can be an emotion that can have a huge impact on how we manage our money, because now you're draining yourself for someone else when really they have to learn how to get to where you are, if that makes sense. Another thing that can directly impact our money is jealousy. This can happen even unconsciously. You know, you may not think that you're jealous of someone, but maybe maybe even if it's just for a moment, you have a moment of comparison, or you may be looking at someone's home and you're thinking, oh, this is a nice home. I wish I had this in my house, or I wish my house looked like this, or it may be. I remember one time I was in someone's home and they had just gotten it built, and I was like, oh, this is such a nice house. I can't wait until I can do something like this. And it's like you're not necessarily jealous. You're just thinking to yourself, like, there's that moment of, I wish I had this. It's that it can cause you to really not be grateful for what you have. Or maybe you're in someone's home and you're admiring their interior. Maybe they just got some interior design and you're like, oh, I wish that I could get interior design. Or um and sometimes it may not be maybe what they have physically. It can be like maybe a gift they have, or I wish I knew how to do this. I wish I knew how to do that, like they can do it. Comparing yourself can have a huge impact on your money, because let's say you go to someone's house and you're like, oh, I like that vase. That's a nice vase. I wish I had that vase. And especially if it's someone who spends a lot of, where did you get that vase, or where did you get this, or where did you get that? And now if you don't know how to control that feeling of jealousy or that feeling of comparison, now you're looking for it, knowing that you don't really need to buy that thing, or you don't need to have, you just have to be grateful for what you have. Be grateful for the money that's in your account, because jealousy can turn into you spending money that's not there, or you spending money that you don't need to spend, or you're doing it to keep up with someone else. It's been talked about for years, keeping up with the Joneses. And sometimes the Joneses don't even have it. So we're trying to build this life, or we're trying to look like something that we don't need to look like, because someone else looks like it. And sometimes that someone else doesn't even have it. And so we have to learn how to be grateful for what we have, be grateful for what we can do, and then put in the work to get to where you're trying to get to. Think of where you want your life to be, not based on someone else's, not based on what they have, but what are your desires? And then put in the work for you to get there. um, and manage well what you have now, so that jealousy is not controlling how you spend your money. The next thing is organization. So this can kind of be the same as planning. When you plan your money, you're usually being a lot more organized with your money. Like I said before, this is my second time doing this video, so I think I said this before in this video, but like I said before, like I've talked about before, when you're budgeting, it's not just writing down numbers, it's not just coming up with categories. But when you're organized with your planning, you're organized with your budgeting, you're being a lot more intentional. You're really thinking about, okay, I don't want to just spend 50% on this. Where is each dollar going to go? This helps you be a lot more organized when you really sit down to plan things out. And so when you're organized, you can see everything, you can see the big picture, and you can tell yourself, okay, I want to take this trip. When you organize a trip or you're traveling, you can travel and you can pay for the trip, and then you get there and you just spend money. For me, even if I'm spending a large sum of money, I still like to know exactly how much money I'm planning to spend, so that I don't go overboard. And so just being more organized allows you to have more control over what's going on with your money, where your money is going, so that it's not telling you where it's going. The next thing is relationships, marriage, and dating. So this is a very big one for a lot of people. Of course, if you're married, these are things that should have been put in place before. Um, but if you're just in a relationship or you're dating someone, these things can definitely have a huge impact on your money, especially if you're dating. Do you have a plan for your dating life? Let's say you're dating intentionally and you're wanting to get married soon, especially if you're a man. Do you have a budget for your dating life? Do you really, are you intentional with sitting down and saying, I want to date? I actually want to meet someone, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it wisely. Every date doesn't have to be lavish or spending a whole lot of money, but you still want to make sure that you're planning it out. You may not even, you know, like the same person every time you date. And so you date a few different people to kind of get to know them. Um, but dating has to have a budget as well. If you're single and you're dating, dating has to have a budget. You don't have to go out, you don't have to spend the most money on your date. You can be intentional about where you date. Sometimes you don't have to spend anything on your, if you're creative, you don't have to spend anything on the date. Dating can be very cheap and it can be very um I don't want to say expensive, but maybe you have someone that you really do like and you've been dating for a while. You still have want to have a budget in place of how much you plan to spend on your dating life as you're dating. But even in marriage, and I did a video or I did a short on marriage, so I won't go too far into it. But how you manage your money in marriage? Do you manage your money together in your marriage? Do you sit down and you have monthly meetings? Do you have a date night to where you actually put money aside? Sometimes in marriage, dating each other can get pushed to the side, especially if you're not managing your money well or you're not having the money to go on dates. Are you intentional with your spouse of sitting down when you do your budget and say, we still need our time to date? And sometimes we don't want to stay in the house. We don't want to watch a movie or eat popcorn at home. Sometimes we do want to go out and have a good time. Are you intentional with fitting in a budget to go out and still date each other? These things can definitely have an impact on your relationship. It can have an impact on your marriage. Dating, having a budget for your dating also helps you to kind of fill out who shouldn't be in your life. Some people don't want to manage their money well. But if you're managing your money well and you're intentional, this will help you to discern who you should be dating and who is just not for your life. Self control. How much self control do you have with your money? Like I said, some of these things can kind of be along the lines of other things that I've talked about, but having self control over your money means being intentional, knowing when to say no. That's a big thing for a lot of people, especially people who are people pleasers or people who are very giving. I know a lot of people who are very giving, and even with money, it can be very hard to tell someone, no, I'm not going to give you this, or even for yourself, no, I'm not going to go here today. I just went on vacation last weekend. I'm not going to go this weekend, or I'm not going to go in 2 weeks. No, I've been eating out for the last 2 weeks every single day. Today I'm going to stay home. I'm going to make dinner instead of going out to get another restaurant and spending even more money. That self control, that little ounce of self control, can definitely have a huge impact on your money management because you are able, again, once again, to tell your money where it's supposed to be going instead of it telling you where to go. But you're also telling yourself, this is what I can spend, this is what I have, or this is what I want to spend. Because for someone, it's not even you don't have options. You have a lot of options, you have a lot of money, but some of these things may just be on a larger scale. Maybe, if you have a lot of money, maybe you already have 10 cars. Do you really need an 11th one? Um, how is your goals going with your investments and things of that nature? Um, for I think for people on all different levels, money management is a big thing. And I've actually read a book where it talks about how they did a study with millionaires, and a lot of millionaires still budget. They still plan out their income. They're not just out just spending money. And a lot of them aren't spending money on the most lavish things, the suits that they're wearing. They're not buying $4,000 suits, a lot of them. And they have millions in the bank, but they choose to not spend that much money. They choose to put their money in things that can help their money grow. And they may have a few nice things for themselves, but it's not out of control, and it's not to a place where they don't have any self-control, or they're not able to tell themselves, no, I'm not going to do that. Even though I have the money to do it, I don't need to do it. It's not necessary. It's not going to give me anything back. And so having that self-control really helps learning how to manage your money and how to grow your money as well. Accruing unnecessary debt. Again, another big thing for a lot of us. A lot of times when we don't have self control, when we don't have any organization, we're not good planners, and when we don't have good health. Let's say if you're going back to the health thing, if you don't have money for a certain health condition or issue, or maybe you can't do anything about it. Maybe you are in the hospital, but you don't have money to keep your health up. Your family has to go out, they have to get loans, they have to mortgage their homes and things like that. This is all causing you or someone else to accrue unnecessary debt because you didn't have good money management skills. You didn't have any self control. You weren't a good planner. You weren't organized and things like that. And so this can cause you to begin to go out and look for the money. Going to banks, applying for things, getting hits on your credit that you don't need there. Um, Accruing unnecessary debt has a big impact on how you manage your money. Whereas same thing I talked about in the last video I did last week. Is it time for you to look into starting your debt free journey to where you don't need to go and get a loan? You don't need to use a credit card. You don't have to max out your credit card to live your life or to get things done because you know that that's something that is directly impacting your money, and for your situation it may be robbing you of your income. It may be robbing you of being able to invest into things that may be appreciating instead of costing you money. um that's another thing. Accruing unnecessary debt can have an impact on your money. And the last thing I want to talk about is, it says money mastery. um Money follows mastery, but the last thing I'm going to touch on just a little bit, because I did a whole video on it, um is your mindset. Your mindset, how you think, has a big impact on how you manage your money. Are you Do you operate from a mindset of poverty? Do you operate from a mindset of scarcity? Do you operate from a mindset of, you think that this is it, this is as far as you can go, and so you're scared to make more money because you're scared of paying taxes, or you know this can go in two different ways. Your mindset and how you think about money can go in two different ways. Do you have money that you can be investing, or that you can, you can put into a high yield savings account? Or but your mindset and things that you've learned, or things that people have told you that can't work for you or won't work, you're not willing to do. And so where you put your money or what you do with it is, it's not growing, or it's not helping you, because you have this mindset that you were taught by other people, and it's having a huge impact on your money. And then on the other side, like I said before, maybe you have a scarcity mindset, or you have a poverty mindset. A poverty mindset is not just you're afraid to spend money, or maybe you're always complaining about how much you don't have enough. Instead of actually doing something about that and going to pursue higher income, whether that may be starting a business, starting a hot side hustle, switching jobs, different things that can help you bring in more income. Do you have a poverty mindset to where you think that you have to go and get a personal loan to be able to do something, and you're not thinking about how it can impact you? Or I watched a video one time of, there's this guy that I follow. He went around Disney asking different people how did they pay for their Disney trip. And there was one couple that said something along the lines of they took out credit for it. and they said, we don't know how we're going to pay it back, but we'll figure it out. That's not the mindset we want to have. We want our mindset to be, I can, if I have the money to pay for this, I've already set it aside. I've already planned for it. I can pay it off in cash and I can fully enjoy myself. I don't have to worry about where the money is going to come from, or I don't have to worry about paying it back later. But if you have the mindset of, sometimes we have the mindset of just do it. It's an experience and things like that. And I agree with that. However, we still have to be wise with those things. I've had plenty of experiences where I've had to tell myself, Simone, don't be afraid to do it. But I still sit down and plan it. So I'm not afraid to do something, but I'm still going to be wise with it, because I have the mindset of, I still have to have wisdom when it comes to spending my money. I don't have to be afraid. I don't have to uh, have a poverty mindset, but I still want to be wise. Um, and so mindset is a huge thing on how we manage our money or what we do with it. And so the thing I want you to take away, if this helps you, the thing I want you to take away is, money follows mastery. You are the master of your money after God. You pray about it, ask Him what to do with it, but God gives us wisdom. He gives us wisdom on how to manage our money, and He allows us to master what He's giving us. And so money follows mastery. Your money is only going to do what you tell it to do. So you can control the habits, you can control the mindset, you can control the emotions. Your money is going to do what you tell it to do. When you don't master your money, you give the control to others. Who do you want to have control over your money? Do you want the car dealerships to have control over your money? Do you want the furniture places to have control over your money? Do you want the mortgage people to have control over your money? Do you want your emotions? Do you want your what do you who do you want to have control over your money? So that may be something you want to ask yourself today. Am I in control, or are my emotions or someone else in control? And then apply that to how you master and manage your money.